Welcome to today's Chat with the Superintendent webinar. Our topic today is Planning, Construction, and Maintenance Updates. My name is Jackie Tisdale, and I'll be today's moderator. If you haven't attended one of our webinars, they are 30 minutes in length. This includes a presentation and question and answer period. All microphones are muted except for our presenters. Our audience can submit questions that will be asked to our presenters. Just use your question or chat module in GoToMeetings. Today's panelists are our Superintendent, David Alexander, our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. A. Denise Graves, Chad Lynch, our Director of Planning and Construction, and Jeff Parent, Supervisor of Maintenance. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Alexander.
Well, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody that's joined us today, and certainly want to wish everybody happy holidays that are ahead. It's a great time of the year. We're winding down a semester and getting ready for the 2019 year, which in a school year, we've got a half year left to go, and anxious to celebrate with our 2019 graduates coming up in May. So we got a lot to look forward to in the upcoming semester, but we're also looking forward to just some time of rest and time with family and all the festivities that are around this holiday time of the year. We're excited about being able to share some information with you today about planning and construction and maintenance. And listen, we know that the number one reason we exist is so that we can support, encourage, and help children develop on their pathway toward adulthood, so that when they're 17, 18, or 19 years old, they leave us equipped to go into that next step of whatever their post-secondary dreams and travels may be. And we know that that is a critical part, but there's a lot of contributing factors to that, to successfully educating children. And part of those contributing factors are making sure that we have quality facilities for them to actually learn in every day. And then when we have those quality facilities, to make sure that we upkeep them, just like everybody does in their own home, and maintain those facilities. And in fact, I want to thank all of you that are listening with us. I want to thank our community that they continue to support us. In the spring of 2016, we passed renewed a millage for bond debt, and that was 1508. And we use that for capital improvements. That's where we actually build new schools. And in fact, I'll just give a quick precursor. This March, we're going to go to our community and ask for 2 renewals, 7.4 mills and 2.5 mills, both going to operations. This serves maintenance and facilities and all kinds of things, because we build a quality building, but 5, 10, 12 years from now, that building will no longer be a quality building. So it's a poor investment if we don't invest to keep it up and maintain it and all the things that go with that. So I thought I would remind everybody that in March we're going to be asking our community to renew 2 millage offerings that we've been using for essential and critical operations of our schools. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jeff Parent, who's going to take you through some information about our maintenance department and all the things we do to keep our facilities going.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. And to sort of piggyback on what Ms. Alexander said, the mission of the maintenance department, number one mission, is to provide the environment for learning to happen. And that's what we push all the way through the maintenance organization as we go through our daily activities. One thing you're going to see, the maintenance department consists of actually a little bit over 200 employees, 203, crossing multi-disciplines, including custodian, carpentry, HVAC and electrical, plumbing, painting, grounds, bus mechanics, things like that. And right off the bat, what I could say is we have the technical expertise to build a school and also to help maintain the school. We want to focus on maintaining, and planning and construction will take care of the building of the new schools and that sort of thing. But my group will handle the actual maintenance and functioning on a day-to-day basis for those classrooms and the environment there. All building functions, anything that happens in a building as far as utilities, comes to us to maintain. What we do is anything from roofs to floors, HVAC and heating to sewer plants, and parking lots to cleaning. It covers the full gamut of what you would think it would take to maintain a facility. Almost, if you think about it like maintaining your house, what it would take to do that. Multiply that out by about 3.5 million square feet, and that's what we do within the maintenance department with those 203 employees. We have a work order system that goes through and feeds my 40 technicians. We roughly have 40 craft level technicians that handle those work orders on a day-to-day basis. You'll probably see them tooling around town in some little vans, little white vans with the Ascension Parish logo on them. That's our fleet vehicles. They have tools and ladders and, all the little consumables that they need to fix a majority of the problems that we have on hand that we run across at each school. But I wanted to get you some information on work orders, how many we do in an order of magnitude. We handle, only on a year's basis, a little bit over 10,000 work orders in a year. I know that seems like a lot. When you divide it over the number of employees, it's a good day's work. We average about 35 work orders a day that we complete, and that comes out to about almost 4.5 average work orders per hour that my 40 technicians complete. So it's a busy day. Our guys work steady and hard, sort of like what we say is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we know we're going to get 10,000 work orders every year. We work at a nice pace and try to handle those work orders in a safe and productive manner. Part of what we do also, just like I mentioned about your house, and within the maintenance department, we have to pay the bills for the school district, which includes, your water and your sewer, the disposal services, property insurance, natural gas, and electricity. As those bills come in, we pay that out of the maintenance budget. So that's part of our responsibility to make that environment in that classroom run well as it can. Also in the maintenance department, we handle major maintenance projects. This year, we're working to the tune of about $2.3 million, right around up to $3 million of major maintenance project. It can be a variety of projects, really depends on priority, but this is where the major issues are handled as far as re-roofs and roof repair. You can imagine a roof at your house and a flat roof at a school. We're doing Central Middle School right now. 120,000 square feet of roof on the top. It's pretty massive when you get up there and walk around and look at it. But that contract phase 1 is under construction now. We do parking lot upgrades, handle all the repairs that works with the potholes and anything that happens there. We do floor repairs in the summertime, major maintenance type things where we try to handle as many flooring projects as possible. And then we do AC upgrades and control upgrades to assist in creating that environment, that comfortable environment where children can learn at a high level. So that's sort of maintenance in a nutshell there, Mr. Alexander. And
very good. So we're going to jump now to planning construction, and this is where we're really trying to actually build new buildings or do those capital improvement projects that we really can't handle within our own annual daily operating general budget fund. So I'll jump that to Chad Lynch, Director of Planning and Construction.
Hey everybody, I'm excited to give you an update on the two major factions of what we're working on right now. We're working on flood recovery as well as the 2016 bonds. So we had, as you know, we had the 2016 flood, and we always want to thank y'all for whatever your part was in that, whether you were impacted by the flood or maybe you were part of the host schools or the host community that helped our flood victims. We've been working on the flood recovery since 2016, and we've got some really good progress to report. In terms of restoration, we're complete at all the school sites. The last phase we had to complete on restoration at a school site was the last phase of the Santa Monica High School classroom buildings. That's actually just got substantial completion this week. So we'll be moving into that over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. And when we start this in January, when we come back to school after the holidays, we'll be in that. So the only thing left in terms of restoration from flood recovery are 2 facilities that are non-school sites. One of them is our maintenance facility that houses planning, construction, maintenance, and child nutrition. That's at our Sorrento site. That project should start in January or February. Then the other project is our residency verification and truancy office. We have to build them a new building, and that'll start sometime early next year also. the other big factor in flood recovery is the finances. That was one of our major goals in our response to the flood is how can we fix the buildings but maintain financial stability and not let the flood buckle us. We've made every effort to follow all the rules that FEMA had and the different grant programs that were out there so that we could recover as much money as possible and be reimbursed for the monies that we spent. Just to give you an update on that, we estimate that this whole flood problem was an $80 million problem. That includes the damage to the buildings and the contents in the buildings. As of now, we've spent $72 million of that estimated 80, so we've got a little bit more to spend to wrap up everything that we're doing. And we've applied to FEMA, our insurance company, and we're starting to apply to a third source of income of reimbursement, which is the CDBG fund, a community grant fund. So we have those three major places where we can get our money back. And as of now, we've gotten a little over $4 million from our insurance payouts, with more to come. We've gotten $31 million from FEMA, with more to come, more to follow. We anticipate and have a goal of being at least 90% reimbursed for the money that we spend, and we're pretty sure we'll easily make the 90% and then some, to where the school system's part that is not reimbursed is less than 10%. And we're very optimistic that we'll achieve that. So that's the story on flood. Wrapping up the buildings, doing good on finances, and trying not to let that impact what we do in maintenance or in the other capital improvements projects. So going on to the 2016 bond projects, we had a list that passed projects in 2016. It passed right before the flood. Obviously, we had a delay, but then we got to those projects as quick as we could. There's some pictures in the slides that you can see of the BULLION Primary School under construction. BLUFF Middle School, the board awarded it. Contractor is going to be mobilizing in the next couple of weeks to start that BLUFF Middle School project. The other two primary schools should start in the January-February timeframe in 2019. So I'd say by February, we'll have all four of the new schools in the bond under construction. In terms of openings, you notice in the slide that we're targeting BULLION to open in August of 19 and the other three schools to open in August of 20. We have many other renovation additions that are listed in here. Most are under construction. The covered play pavilions, we've built 9 and have 5 in construction now, and we'll build a new play pavilion with each of the new primary schools. So at the end of this program, we should have an outdoor covered play pavilion of some sort at all of our primary schools, which is critical to instruction, actually. It's not just to play under. The teachers do PE instruction under those pavilions, rain or shine. It helps them to be able to not miss class on a day of bad weather. We are working on the master plan for the future high school. That is a site planning and permitting exercise only. That includes surveys, testing, site layout, permitting like traffic and drainage permits. So we're working on all of that right now for that future site on Parker Road. We have a couple of projects that are not started yet or delayed. The Prairieville Middle School gym went out to bid once and was over budget. We are working on getting that back out to bid again with a slightly revised plan. So Prairieville Middle will get its gym, and we just have to get that back out for bid as soon as possible. And then that wraps up the 2016 bond projects. If you flip through the pictures, well, there's a couple more that weren't on the list. They're in the pictures on the next page here. Apple Digital Academy is under construction, and the Head Start facility in Donaldsonville is a really exciting project. Our Head Start program is a little over 123-year-old children in Donaldsonville, and they were operating out of an old classroom building next to an old gym. The project that's ongoing right now takes the old gym and turns it into a main building for that Head Start program, and that building is complete, and we moved in it last week. So what we have left to do is renovate the old classroom building that's next to it that they were in. And we're looking forward to a January 15th ceremony where we will do sort of a ribbon cutting on this facility, where we're gonna open a time capsule that we found in this old auditorium, in the old gym. So that's going to be a pretty exciting thing in Donaldsonville in January. If you flip through the pictures, you can see that there are pictures of the new schools. That's the new BLUFF Middle School rendering, and like I said, that one started construction. The next one is the Bluff Ridge Primary School. These schools were recently named, by the way. They went through a process of public input and committee meetings to name the schools and pick their mascots. So we've got the Bluff Ridge Primary School Falcons here, and then we go to Sugar Mill. Sugar Mill, do y'all remember the mascot on Sugar Mill? I don't have it.
Do not.
Was it the
Knights of the Falcons?
Knights? I think it was. Knights, that's right. So we've got some new names that we've got to get used to on these new schools. But the Sugar Mill Primary is going to start in January or February. And then this is a picture of the Bullion Crossing primary school rendering. Bullion Crossing, I think we have another picture of it under construction. This is an aerial of Bullion from this week. You can see that we've got one wing, a couple of wings, the concrete is poured, and in one wing the steel is up, and we're decking the second floor. We've got a lot of the parking poured, and that site's coming along, that project's coming along very, very good, as we had hoped. So that's it, Superintendent. That's the update on the capital improvements project.
So, Jackie, if you'll open it up for questions, we'll see if we can have a little question and answer session.
Absolutely. Thank you. We want to remind our audience that if you would like to submit a question, you can just type that in the question chat module for GoToWebinar, and I will address those to our panelists. Our first question is about the new schools that are opening. How is redistricting going to be handled, and is there a timeline for that?
Well, that's a great question. So we have started that process with our board. A couple of board meetings ago, we had a strategic planning session along with a demographer that we've hired. It's a third-party provider out there, Mike Hefner, who is assisting us with this. He has the tools and the resources to really do this efficiently and very accurately. So we've established a timeline here where we will be working with this demographer the rest of this month and into January, and bringing to the Strategic Planning Committee meeting of our board on January 22nd some options for the new district where we're opening Bullion Crossing. So when I say a new district, what you have right now is you have two primary schools, Oak Grove Primary and Prairieville Primary, both way beyond the capacity that we'd like a primary school to be at. Doing great jobs, high-performing schools, but they're at that 1,000 sort of mark, which we would like to keep primary schools 750, somewhere like that at the max. So when we open Bullion, what we'll be doing is dividing those existing students, and so that we'll be, rather than dividing that student population that's at Oak Grove and Prairieville by 2, we'll divide it by 3, same population, and find a way to get them into those 3 schools. How exactly that will look, that is the options we're bringing to our board on January 22nd, and then we'll be doing some town hall meetings at both Oak Grove and Prairieville in late January and early February. That schedule we'll be sure to get posted out there. And there'll be a process here where staff will develop some plans. We'll bring those plans to the board. The board will look at them, give their input to it. We'll get a community input, and then we'll come back with some final recommendations, hopefully by the end of February. And the other schools that are being built, and that would be the Bluff Ridge Primary, Bluff Middle School, and Sugar Mill Primary, those won't open till 2020, so we'll use the 2019 calendar year and the spring in 2020 to settle or finalize the attendance zones for those schools.
Thank you. Our next question is about the high school. Is there a name that has been selected, and has a mascot or colors been selected for the new high school yet?
So that, again, great question. And, there seems to be some confusion. Right now, we don't have a new high school that's actually planned to, we don't have an architect assigned to a new high school. All we have is we've purchased land that we believe the new high school will go on. And in the 2016 bond, we're doing some of the preliminary work that goes with doing land prep. There is no money that's been dedicated to building a new high school as of yet. So that will be something for a future renewal, where we will have to go back to our community with this millage amount, the 1508. Remember, the 1508 that was renewed in 2016 is how we fund building new schools. So it'll be a day where we'll have to go back out to our community and ask for the money to build a new high school, somehow including it in this 1508 millage piece that allows us to go and actually sell bonds. And those bonds are how we fund building these high schools, and then we pay those bonds off with that millage. And so there'll be a day where we'll want to do that, and so there won't be any names or colors or anything for a new high school until we actually get final funding for that new high school.
All right, our next question is addressed to maintenance. Have you looked at any contracting out any of the work versus having in-house employees for the skilled labor?
Yes, actually, and it's a good question because we actually do it now because we try to have a good balance and keep a good workload for our 203 employees that we have and those 40 technicians. But when things, come across that take a long period of time to do, or is going to, bog down a technician for an extended period of time, those is what we look at using an outside contractor. And so we currently do those. We try to minimize them as much as possible. But with the projects that come up and the maintenance issues that happen, sometimes it is out of the expertise of what our crafts can do. It's a specialty, like repairing a chiller or something like that, would be a special contractor that we would use. We'll go out and grab that contractor and have him come in and assist our technicians.
Our next question is, with the building of new schools, and you mentioned that you handle repairing roads and parking lots, does any of the funding for the schools go towards relieving traffic issues?
Absolutely. This is Chad. When we budget for the new schools, we put in the budget a portion for traffic improvements. It kind of goes along with the process. When we're designing the school, we have to apply for permits. And through those permit processes and through the studies that we're required to do, we're required to do a traffic study. The traffic study usually recommends traffic improvements. Those improvements are based on traffic counts, how many kids are at the school, how many teachers, what the traffic looks like ahead of time. So the traffic study will tell us and recommend what we do, and then the permit authorities like DOTD and the parish government will vet those studies and tell us, yes, do this, do that, do a turn lane, whatever. So what we end up doing in the building of the school is we build that traffic improvement that was required by the study, and that's how we handle it. So currently, right now, an example is the BLUFF Road School has a left and a right turn lane planned on BLUFF Road in front of the school. That's just one example.
All right, we have one last question, and that is, where can I go to find out more information about the new schools and the timeline for those?
On the Planning and Construction homepage, we have information about the 2016 flood projects and also information about the 2016 bond projects. We keep a status list for those projects on there, and it would say 2016 floods project status or 2016 bond project status. You can go to the homepage there. It's on the www.apsb.org site. If you look for departments and you find Department of Planning and Construction, it's right there on the homepage. There are links to those status lists that show the status of every project.
All right, thank you. That is the last of our questions. Superintendent Alexander, would you like to wrap it up? Any closing comments?
Absolutely. First of all, again, thank you for those of you that were able to join us, and certainly we want to extend our gratitude to those that will join us maybe at some point later when you have time to listen to this. This will be posted, as it always is. It's good information. We welcome your questions. We welcome your emails. We are privileged and blessed to be able to do this work in Ascension Parish that we do. We are grateful that you trust us with your children, and we're also grateful that you trust us with your resources. And we couldn't do this work without you providing us the support we need financially to serve the children that we have. And certainly we want to help educate everyone around those things that go on in our school system that really make instruction better, but often are taken for granted because you don't think about building a building, and then when you do, you say, well, that building costs whatever price tag may be, $5 million, and you say, we're done. Well, now you've got to upkeep that building. But that's our commitment to our public here, to continue to be good stewards of those things that we have, are able to acquire, whether it's a new building or a new bus. We're trying to take a bus as long as we can take it safely by keeping it a well-oiled machine. Keep it up. Make sure that it's roadworthy for a long, long time by doing the things that we need to do to keep that bus up, just like you do in your own homes, your cars, and everything else that you have. So, again, we're grateful that you took the time to be with us today. And I just want to say once again, we wish you the very best over the holiday season. And we look forward to the next webinar, which will be upcoming after the turn of the year at some point. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Just to remind everyone, we will have, as Superintendent Alexander said, our next webinar will be on February 13th, and that topic will be understanding our budget. So if you would like to deeper dive into what we do on our budget side, that'll be one you wouldn't want to miss. All right, have a great day, everyone, and a wonderful holiday break.